Hello, good evening. Good evening. Let me know you can hear me okay. What is happening, folks? Let me put the chat up on the screen. Hold on. There we go. Kevin, Christian, Dark Ginger, Daryl, Miguel, Toasty Devil. Good evening, everybody. I'm gonna be looking at Assault Marines. I just glued them onto some base extenders like a couple hours ago. So I'm gonna start by turning on my light so I can see what the hell I'm doing. I'm going to start by filling in these the rims, and I have some super old Assault Marines here. This one's metal, and this one's painted Goblin Green, so this one's old as shit, and this one is not metal, but it's also painted Goblin Green. So these guys have been sat for forever, and they're obviously in the wrong size bases. So that's where I'm starting. Good evening. Look at all the green names in chat. Holy crap, you guys rock. Thank you for all the support. I really do appreciate everybody that is a member to the channel. And this is quote-unquote liquid green stuff that went solid. Like, I don't know how well you can see inside there, but it's certainly not liquid anymore, that's for sure. So I'm going to put a bit of like warm water into the pot. You know what, that's not putting enough in. I'm going to put a bit of warm water into the pot, then I'm going to shake it. And then I'm going to use warm water while I'm doing this. Toasty Devils and the Primaris Tip Marine. Good evening, Mike. Appreciate you sending the Gladiator over to me. Foz is in the house. Kevin's doing Terminator Assault Squads. Daryl is doing Death Company Marines. Daryl, you're the only person in the grey name. If you want to become a member, have an awesome green name, then you can click the big join button underneath the channel. That's what you should do. Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure when I'm going to be running Assault Marines, but I did just want to look out the ones that I had and thought to myself, like, may as well get them on the right size basis to begin with. So that would be a start, right? So I bought these base extenders many times off eBay, and if you go on eBay and you literally just search like 25 to 32mm base extenders, you'll find them. I think you get 10 of them for like $4. I actually ordered more today because this was my last 5. I'd have put 6 Assault Marines onto 32mm bases because I think a 6 is a better number for like NACMAN data and stuff. But I only had 5, so I ordered a few more today, and they were just $3.99 for 10 more. It's like, it's so quick to get them. You don't have to use glue. Like, you can literally just push them into the base and use the base as like a snap fit, but I glue them in and then I just really quickly fill the gap in with the green stuff. It might actually be a little bit easier that the green stuff isn't totally liquid in this case, actually. And then just let it set and then just paint over it, and you would hopefully never know that they're on the wrong size base. I actually did a video on this before. Let me see if I've got one. Yeah, look, here's a guy. This is one of my Death Companies, so he was on the wrong side. He's a metal model that was on a 25mm base. You can see really closely, if you look, that there is the ring there. So this guy, you can see it in places, but then you can't see it in places. Like at the front here, I guess I laid it on enough texture paint, so you can't really tell that he was on the wrong size base. But the back here, maybe I didn't put the texture paint on quite thick enough. I'm not so worried. You really have to look to see it's wrong. Never heard of warm water and dry green stuff before. I mean, it works. It 100% works. I mean, it's still a bit like, I don't know how you will a camera focus on that. It's still solidified to a certain extent. But I guess just giving it enough moisture means that it's malleable enough that I can kind of like reshape it. It's still pretty dry, but it works for. I mean, I've had this. I came back to the hobby what, like 5 years ago now at this point, and I've had this thing of green stuff probably since then. So it's lasted well, I guess. I honestly at this point, like, I don't remember this tin of green stuff ever being liquid. So that's how long it's been like solidified, and I've just worked around it. Mark, good evening, how you doing? But yeah, if you're hanging out tonight, let me know in chat what you're working on. We do hobby on this channel every Saturday night. Well, most Saturday nights, I guess. Maybe every Saturday night would be a lie. Most Saturday nights we do hobby. And I'm going to get on to painting some Death Company once I've got the green stuff into these 5 bases. I did order 132mm off eBay a while ago. It's definitely a useful investment. Yeah, my problem with buying replacement bases, Mark, was like I figured that I would end up damaging my models trying to get them off their old 25mm bases. And I mean, maybe you've got the patience to get them off. I probably felt like I would probably end up damaging them, so that's why I just decided to spend a little bit more on the base extenders. And there's a lot of people on eBay that do them, and these ones are called like no hassle base extenders on eBay, and honestly they're so easy to use. I highly recommend them. I've been using them for like 2 or 3 years now. The model, if you super glue the models in, they never come off these bases. And I drop my models like more than I care to admit, I guess, and they never fall off. Okay, let me catch up in chat. Jason's working on a cursors. Alunda, good evening. Stephen is watching for the poolside in Orlando. Stephen, what time is it in Orlando? It must be like 5 o'clock. Surely there's something awesome to do in Orlando at 5 o'clock, right? Like, I love Orlando actually. My dad used to have a villa in Orlando. We had it for, I don't know if we had it for as many as 10 years, but we definitely had it for a while, so I'm actually quite familiar with Orlando. I went there a lot when I was younger. I like IHOP. That was one of my favourite places to go in Orlando. Go there for breakfast and just get fooded up for the day. Alright, so I don't know how long that took. 5 minutes to do one guy? So, I mean, that'll dry. Once you put texture paint over it, it's hardly noticeable. Easy as that. Belt sander? What, a belt sander gets the old base off? I don't own a belt sander, Mike. I'm going to just take my shirt off here. It's pretty warm here today. Oh, it's warm when I turn on this giant spotlight, I guess. Mark was painting Blood Bowl's Wool Delves earlier for the Warhammer World Meetup with Tony next Friday. So do you lose points in Blood Bowl if the army's fully painted, or is that sort of like tournament style play and you're just playing for fun? Like, you're not taking points off, I assume, for unpainted models, are you? You can freeze super glue off. Most of my guys I use poly cement for, so I imagine that I had to break off a few arms and it was a nightmare. I feel like I ended up damaging the model, so that's why I like these base extenders. I think I got a little bit too much water on this one, but I'm sure it'll be fine. You can always add more to it afterwards if it's too... Vilka's magnetizing Vanguard Veterans. That's definitely going to be the right call, I think, because I wonder if Storm Shields are ever going to get... Because Storm Shields very much fell out of favour with Armour of Contempt to a point where, like, it's almost not even worth taking them, I guess. I haven't run Storm Shields pretty much since Armour of Contempt hit. Maybe did like one battle with them, or like one tournament with them, because it was close afterwards, and then like just sort of dropped them. So if you do have Vanguard Veterans, yeah, I would highly recommend magnetizing them, because who knows, like surely at some point Storm Shields will be good again. Maybe Space Marine Codex 2.0, that the rumors that we're maybe getting at some point, who knows. Assault Squads, says Highland Phoenix. These are Assault Marines indeed, Highland Phoenix. They're on 25mm bases. I actually had like 10 Assault Marines. I only have 5 basic extenders at the moment, so I ordered some more. But am I running Assault Marines anytime soon? No. Do I want to prep some Assault Marines? Sure, why not? I'm gonna put these guys. I'm getting these guys on the right size bases, and then I'm gonna go paint some Death Company. Because I'm definitely running Death Company to that GT in. I'm definitely running more Death Company with Infernal Pistols and Power Swords. I've been playing that a few times now, and I think since I started running that Death Company Infernal Pistol Power Sword, I think I haven't lost a game. I mean, it was a new list. I've only played 3 armies, but I mean it's 100% win rate, so why not? Stick with what you know, I guess. What's up, Inks? Good evening. How you doing? Did I miss a comment from Stephen? Foz says no hobby at the moment. For anyone interested in Rezio, Turkey, Mark, Steve have been pretty good about chatting on the Discord for North American timing. I mean, we've got quite a lot of people that are in North America timing, and I think the issue with some people not being able to get into the members room is now fixed on Discord. If you are a member of the channel and you still can't get into the members room, you know, reach out to me directly, like on Discord, I guess. Just PM me and I'll see if we can figure it out. But I think everybody that needed to get, I think everybody that got a membership in the last few weeks should now have access to the members only room. I think that should be all sorted. Apparently it was like a bug with Discord. I just had to relink the channel to Discord. It was very quick to fix on my end. It was like one click. I just didn't know I had to do it. Robert, good evening. He's working on Bladeguard Veterans tonight. Right after I just go and slam Storm Shields for not being good anymore. But I mean, I think Bladeguard will have their day in the sun as well. I think that just the balanced data slate was very frustrating. I don't know if anybody was, if anyone had high hopes of the balanced data slate. I definitely had more hopes than what we got, that's for sure. I think we're going to film a little bit on the 3 Grots channel tomorrow night, just before the Army List show kicks off, to talk about the balanced data slate, so keep an eye out about 9 o'clock tomorrow night. I'll put a post up on my community tab and we'll have like a bonus half-an-hour chat about the data slate. Spoiler, it's not going to be that exciting, I guess, because the data slate was not that exciting, right? Dracula says I've been thinking about assault squads, they seem handy. They definitely are. Are Blood Angels trending away from Whirlwind and Land Speeders? I mean, some people are, some people aren't. Steven, who is like arguably the best Blood Angels player in the world, just did he just did a tournament with the Whirlwind, right? He didn't have any Land Speeders, he had Assault Marines, but the Whirlwind was definitely in his army, so I mean, if you're going to make multiple charges in the same turn into tough enemies that are really good in combat, the Whirlwind is like so core for Blood Angels. Like, that part is possibly like the ability to prevent counter-offensive is just as important, if not more important, I think, than Fight Last and or Denial of Overwatch. The data slate was trash, says Toasty Devil. I mean, yeah, we'll get into it. The data slate was embarrassing, says Kevin, considering they delayed it. Yeah, I mean, I was very frustrated by it. And, I mean, when we talk about it tomorrow on stream, if I don't come across as frustrated, it'll be a miracle. Because, yeah, I think it was frustrating. It helped some things, I guess. It made Tyranids a little bit less obnoxious. I don't think it changes much at all for Dark Eldar. Sorry, Harlequins. I still sometimes call shit like the old names. I'm forever, I think, gonna call Eldar. I'm never gonna fully embrace their new names. I guess in some ways it's the same as Adeptus Astartes. I very rarely call Space Marines Adeptus Astartes, right? Is the Codex actually called a Codex Adeptus Astartes? Because no one calls it that, right? Everyone just calls it Codex Space Marine. No one's called it Adeptus Astartes 2.0. It probably is actually, but no one calls it that, right? Custodes basically get told you're a Forge World shooting army and you will like sadness. Well, I mean, Space Marine players got told that you're bad at the game because Space Marines are your first army. Did he not run Centurions? I think Stephen was the guy that pioneered Centurions, but recently he hasn't. He didn't run them. He didn't run them to LGT. He ran, I think, 3 assault squads on the Whirlwind. I think he did 3 Sandguard, 3 Death Company, and then 3 assault squads on the Whirlwind, I think, was Stephen's LGT list. It was the bonus part of that video I made a few weeks back about the 4th place Blood Angels finish, so if you want to go back and check out the tactics playlist on the channel, it was at the end of that video where the guy placed 4th. I broke down Stephen's LGT list as well, and it was a very brief breakdown because the video was about someone else's list and their 4th place finish, but I thought it was worth like including it, right? Because Stephen has probably had the best results for out of most of the Blood Angels players over the last, I don't know, year and a half, maybe slightly longer. Maybe, yeah, probably 2 years actually. Maybe even longer than 2 years. So this warm water stuff on dried liquid green stuff, what do you think, Mark? It's not so bad, is it? What ratio of Infernal Pistols to Power Swords? At the moment, the squad I'm running has been set up with 3 Infernal Pistols and 3 Power Swords, but I would like to add more of both. It's just a points thing for my list at the moment. My list is totally... You know, Highland Phoenix was saying to me, like, you should maybe consider, like, a squad of Assault Marines to just be, like, disposable chaff that you can, like, run around, and I was like... As much as I like that idea, I have 0 points to play with. Like, everything in my list performs a function, and I feel like I need everything. So yeah, I don't know how I fit Assault Marines into my list. I don't think I can fit them in, which is fine because I don't have any painted, and these guys won't get, you know, these guys don't even have arms on them, so I'm just getting them on the right size bases to start with, I guess. I mean, they're legal on the 25mm bases, but I don't know, the 25mm bases just sort of feel very small, and they just sort of feel wrong, I guess. That angered me when I read it. The bit about Space Marines being their first army and that people don't know how to play them. If that's what you felt, Robert, angry, that's exactly how I felt too. Like, generalizations like that are pretty harsh when, like, I know a lot of people that play Marines and a lot of people have not been having a fun time for the best part of like a year or longer now. Ever since probably the Sisters of Battle Codex came out, whenever that came out, which is probably at this point like 18 months ago. You know, I know a lot of Marine players that have felt like some of them have just flat out sold their Marines. Other ones have just been frustrated to a point where they just don't play the game anymore. So to say that Marines are just a person's first army and that they need to get better is I think, well, it's generally incorrect, I guess, but it's also not ideal for people that have been, yeah. trying to get around their feet where those stupid those metal bits fit into the base is a nightmare. With these, I mean, it's a nightmare anyway to paint around it. Yeah, Infernal Pistols and Power Swords on a 5-man Death Company. If you haven't tried it, I highly advise trying it. It feels really, really good. It's cheaper than the All Thunderhammer unit, and it gives you some transport popping capability as well, because like multiple Infernal Pistols at close range with Forlorn Fury definitely give you a chance to pop open a transport. And with the points drops on Death Company in the last balance slate, I don't know. It feels like a good use of points. I'm gonna make. At the moment, I made it so I've got 5 Death Company with Infernal Pistols and 5 with Power Swords, and like a overlap where 3 guys are double. So 3 guys have like the Infernals and the Power Swords, and then I've got like 2 with just Infernals and 2 with just Power Swords. But I'm gonna make 2 more. So I have 5 with Infernal Pistols and Power Swords, and then have 2 that have like Infernal Pistols Chain Swords and 2 that have Bolt Pistols Power Swords, so I can kind of tweak depending on the points that I have left in my list just to fit that squad in and, you know, optimize it as best I can. So probably in the next few weeks you'll see me making like a guy or 2 that can do that. Chrono is going to prime a Night Scythe and a Vindicator Laser Destroyer. I have a Vindicator Laser Destroyer here that needs work on it, actually. If Space Marine players are new and don't know how to play their army, then the change they did isn't going to give them much help or be understood by a new player. I mean, that's true as well. I think they just don't. There's 2 things, I suppose. Is one, I don't know if they know how to get Space Marines balanced. That could be the first. That could be the major point. Or the second point could be what a lot of rumors were like. There's a new Space Marine book coming, so like maybe we just have to wait for that. But like I did read the thread on Reddit, because there was like a giant thread on Reddit with like hundreds of people replying about in the Reddit 40k competitive, and generalization on the balance slate was like, well, there wasn't a whole lot of people who felt the balance slate was overly positive, I guess. And a lot of people were asking like, is that it? But Math Thunderhammers. Oh, but my Thunderhammers, my Thunderhammers. I thought you meant Math Thunderhammers. It was a typo. No, I mean I still run the squad of Thunderhammers. Don't get me wrong. I still think a squad of Death Company with like 4 Thunderhammers in it is really strong. So I still run a squad. My squad at the moment, my Thunderhammer squad, I have to make some I'm so strapped for points in the list that I'm running, I guess. So my Thunderhammer squad at the moment is actually 3 Thunderhammers and 2 Infernal Pistols. So it's not quite 4 Thunderhammers. I mean, I would probably prefer it if it was, but you know, I've made a concession to have that second Death Company, and I think losing that 1 hammer but replacing it with that second Infernal Pistol and Power Sword Death Company it's been working. It's been working. I mean, I think at the moment Blood Angels are not a tier. We're not a top tier army. I mean, we're 49%, which is better than a lot of the other Marine armies, but like, when you've got armies in the meta that are like easily 60%, 49% is not great, I guess. Getting there, this is the last guy. I popped open one of those curry bolts and turned one with a 5-man power sword unit. Did you pop open it in the combat phase though, or did you pop open it in the shooting phase? Because that's the thing, right? you kind of need to pop open some of the bolts in the shooting phase so that you can get to what's inside the bolts in the combat phase. Because typically what's coming out the bolts is OBSEC, and that's possibly one of the biggest problems, is like, if you do kill the bolt at the end of the combat phase, they unload like a whole heap of OBSEC guys onto the objective, and then they own the objective in their turn, and they get the primary points, right? So like sometimes it might almost be better to not blow up the bolt and leave it on one wound, which is a weird thing to say because they're not OBSEC when they're inside the bolt, right? That's why I think having a death company with like a lot of infernal pistols, I mean, I guess if you were going even, like if your army was more melee than my army, because my army does actually have some shooting in it, like I have 3 multi-meltas on attack bikes, I have that new speeder that's got the heavy melter destroyer and the missiles, so like my army has some shooting. So if you were, so arguably if I have a bolt to open, I could probably hit it with all 9 melta shots and some rockets, and then hit it with 3 infernal pistols, and hopefully that will open it up. So if you don't have any shooting, maybe you need to have 5 infernal pistols in your squad, I guess. Something to consider, right? A lot of people start with Marines. Yeah, I mean, Marines are always on the like starter packs, but I don't necessarily agree that just because people start with Marines that they're bad players. And I think that's possibly where the frustration is. I could be wrong. But yeah, the new book, the new codex has been talked about in rumors for a while. I have no idea when or if we're even ever seeing a new Space Marine codex. You know, like, why are we getting a new codex and why aren't we just going to a new edition? I don't have the answers, unfortunately. I do think it's a good idea to have 2 armies that play differently, that you can switch to keep being upset which one is down. I mean, sure, Miguel, but maybe that's fine, but over here on this channel we do Blood Angels and we do Blood Angels only, so it's Blood Angels or the highway, I guess, right? If you are going to enjoy tonight's stream, guys, please hit that like button as well. It does really help me out. Good evening, Kevin. Kevin said he never used to use infernal pistols in the Death Company, and he got the bolt opened before the combat phase. He never used to use them until I told him how good they were. Well, somebody told me in chat. It wasn't me that came up with that 5 Death Company, 5 infernal pistol squad, honestly. It was, oh god, my daughter's... I just need to check my daughter. I can't see her on the baby monitor. I'll be right back. Right, I think she's fine. Sleeping. I have lots of hammers and no shooting, says Stephen, but then I don't know what I'm doing. I mean... I wouldn't say just because you have lots of hammers and no shooting you don't know what you're doing. I mean, top tier players keep running the no shooting Blood Angels list, and people, before I was doing this channel, people would honestly flame Blood Angels players. Like if you made a list and said I'm going to take 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, people would flame you as a Blood Angels player. They'd be like, you know, Blood Angels are only good at combat. You can't have any shooting. What are you doing taking 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts? You're an idiot, right? Like, that's a thing that would actually happen. And I've tried, I think, a little bit to break that mold and be like, no, I think a Blood Angels army with shooting is good. And before I was running shooting, my win rate was like 40%. I started running shooting and my win rate went up to like 70 or 80%. I mean, that was before the current meta where like we really aren't great. We really haven't been great for a while. But my win rate went up a lot when I actually started mixing in shooting, and I mean, if we go right back to the beginning of 9th, I started with a couple of Redemptor Dreadnoughts. I moved on to the Volcon Dreadnoughts. I also at some point had attack bikes and Dreadnoughts. Never really run tanks. I mean, I've run super heavy tanks and they can do work and they can be fine, but and I've run one at a tournament as well, which was kind of fun, but yeah, there was a while there where, like, if you run any sort of shooting on Blood Angels, people would tell you didn't know how to play Blood Angels and what the hell were you doing. But in the top level tournament play at the moment, I'd say most 90% of Blood Angels do all melee. But then whenever I go to a tournament and there's a Blood Angels list that's all melee, I always end up finishing above it. Because I've been to a few now where there's been other Blood Angels players. And I really do think it's just a matter of time before I can win an event. And when I do win an event, I probably won't have an all melee list. So I think there's more strength in the balanced approach for Blood Angels. Like 25%, maybe 20% of your army that can actually shoot. I guess probably the best options right now are Multi-Meltas or Redemptor Dreadnoughts. I mean, Volkite Contemptors can still work. They're not bad. There's some armies they're really poor into, and you become really reliant on the swing of the mortal wounds, I guess. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I don't think you necessarily need to go all melee, and I've been advocating against it for a while. Nick says, hi Blood Angels Commander, if you choose Assault Marines loadout, you prefer Sword plus Plasma Pistol Sergeant or Eviscerator Sergeant? I think probably I prefer the Power Sword and the Sergeant because it's cheap, and at the moment I don't run Quake Bolts in my army list, or I don't run a Sangre Ancient in my army list, so I've no way of giving you +1. If you are running like a Quake Bolts or a Sangre Ancient, or I guess like Astroth, and you have a reliable way of giving those, giving like the squad +1 to hit, then I feel much more comfortable with an Eviscerator. But if you don't have any way of getting +1 to hit, then I'd probably just go with the Power 6. That guy from MetaWatch was condescending shit. Sorry, but that's how I feel. I've been a Space Marine since 2nd edition, says Christian. You know, I watched that video on MetaWatch, and I follow one of the guys, the guy that's like the Warhammer TV presenter, Nick Baton, and he's an Ultramarines player, and he seems reasonably switched on. Like, I've spoke to him a couple of times on Twitter. He's maybe even liked some of my Blood Angels content on Twitter, so he seems a totally decent guy. Seems like he cares a lot for the hobby. He obviously does some painting videos for well, he used to do them for Games Workshop's YouTube. Maybe now he does them for Warhammer Plus. I'm not subscribed anymore to Warhammer Plus, so I don't know. But regardless, Nick seems like a really good guy. And he was he was the guy that was interviewing, like, I think the guy's name was Stuart Black, and he is the head of, I think he's the head of 40k in general. Rice Legacy, thank you so much for following. I think he's the head of 40k in general, Stu Black, and I guess he's the guy that ultimately decides what goes in the balance slate, etc, etc, etc. Does he have a Twitter account? Does anyone know? Because I was wanting to tweet at him. I mean, it's just because I'm frustrated, right? Like, if I'm not frustrated, I'm not tweeting at him. But because I'm frustrated with the balance date slate, I was wanting to tweet at him and be like, you know, long-time Marine player here, they're my primary army, they're the only army I play, and other armies can just dominate us so easily right now, and there's almost nothing we can do. But to be told that, like, oh, it's just you're bad at the game because your starter Marine army is, like, pretty horrendous, I guess. So if anyone knows Stuart Black's Twitter, please share it with me. When you win an event, can we do a party the next days? I mean, if I win an event, I'll be on here that night partying probably, or if not that night, we'll have if not that night, the next Saturday night we'll have a drinking stream where I don't do anything but talk about the event and drink. How about that? How often do you get all 5 Death Company to 6 inches range for the Infernal Pistols? I mean, you probably don't throughout the course of the game that often, but if you get to do a Forlorn Fury move, then it becomes much more interesting, right? Because like a lot of people like to line up their guys at the front of their deployment zone. So if people do that and you can jump and you can be on top of them with those Infernal Pistols and arguably maybe even be within half range to get the +2 damage, you could do a lot. Plus, as the game goes on, if you know, your Death Company lose a lot of their strength if they're stuck in combat, because you don't get your +1 to wound, you don't get your +2 to attacks. Boss, thank you so much for being a member for such a long period of time, I do appreciate it. So having Infernal Pistols in combat is not a bad thing. And also, if the game goes on later as well, like sometimes, like the other night I was playing with an army that had all those Infernal Pistols in the Death Company. I actually wanted to charge, like, let's say Unit B, but I was like passing by, like I was moving past another unit, and while I was moving past the other unit, I was like, oh well, I may as well just shoot that other unit with like 3 Infernal Pistols at close range. What's my Twitter? I don't tweet as much as I probably should, and if you follow me on Twitter, you'll constantly see posts about Arsenal, because we are top league. We are top league. So you'll you'll see a fair amount of posts about soccer, but I mean, that's my Twitter in the chat. I think the amount of shooting you need is based on the terrain you are. US Open terrain, for example, doesn't require much. I don't agree with that, Werty, because like we've got armies now where every single model in an army will potentially fight on death. So if you don't have shooting, every single time you fight, or every single combat you go into, you're going to lose models. And I think that like one of my losses, which if I'd been a win would have won me a tournament, was against an army that had a lot of fight on death. And like, Blood Angels need shooting, otherwise you literally can't counter that. You're just going to lose models in every situation that you have to fight, and then you lose the game because like it's almost becomes a war of attrition. You know, they know they're going to lose models to you, but they know they're always going to fight on death, so ultimately you always end up taking the worst trades, and if you don't have shooting, there's no way around that. And I think that's possibly one of the reasons why we haven't seen any Blood Angels armies win an event in a while. I mean, we've seen some people get like top 4, top 3. We've seen some people get high in big events, but we're not seeing Blood Angels win events. I mean, maybe like someone's winning RTTs, but like I'm talking like GTs or super majors or stuff like that. We're not seeing it happen at the moment, right? Does anyone know any 40k tabletop drinking games? Says Daryl. I was thinking, Daryl, and this could be a crazy idea. I don't know any drinking games per se, but I was thinking what might be interesting was like have a drinking game where like every time a model in your army dies, you have to take a shot. Or a drink, I suppose. It wouldn't have to necessarily be a shot. But then it would be the game would become very much about like, you want to keep every unit alive. That becomes super important, and you know, a unit with one guy alive is super important because you don't have to take the shot, right? Luke says I found 3 Infernal Pistols in each Death Company is perfect, and that's a 5-man, I assume, Luke, right? My chapter master on a bike hasn't been doing as much big plays of late, Highland Phoenix. I think it's a different approach now with the chapter master. I think that like he's more of a utility than a fighting character since the changes to CP costs. So like now he dies a lot more often, but like Rites of War wins games, Soul Warden wins games. I mean, those two things are like I don't think I would run. I don't think we can run right now, I guess, and be competitive without Rites of War and Soul Warden. I think if you aren't running those two things, then you're going to come unstuck against some people, and there's almost no way around it. Like, there's too many mortal wounds in the game right now that, like, we have to have protection against it. And there's too many other armies that can do OBSEC shenanigans, so we need more OBSEC than what we did 6 months ago, I feel like. So while my Chapter Master doesn't perform like, he doesn't go around killing anything and everything anymore and surviving through anything and everything, I think that the Rites of War and Soul Warden probably more than make up for what he did for before. And I mean, I guess that's probably another reason that I just can't bring myself to take Dante, because, I actually went to an event and I saw a Blood Angels player who'd like submitted an army list to the event, and he had Dante with Rites of War in his list, which is obviously not allowed. And I was like, oh god, so hopefully I don't have to play this guy, because if I do play him, I'm not going to let him play like an invalid Blood Angels list against me. Fortunately, I didn't have to. Yeah, like, I guess, Rites of War is so good that you wanted to take it on Dante, and I was like, I mean, I was playing a game at the same time that I saw it happening, so I didn't really interject, and it was kind of too late to interject at that point anyway. But if it had come up in a game against me, I would have been like, yeah, no, Dante does not have Rites of War, I'm sorry. I guess that's the thing with, like, if the tournament organizer isn't familiar with every single army list, mistakes are going to happen, right? What is your win percent since Armor of Contempt? Just curious, because I'm an experienced player, so the reasoning Space Marines can try and be a first army made sense to me, not trying to rub it in, just saying, what is my win percent against Armor of Contempt, since Armor of Contempt? I mean, I guess Sisters of Battle, it was grim, but Sisters are in a really, really, really strong spot. I think I maybe played Sisters like 5 times and won twice, and I would say I am a better player than the Sisters player that I play against, just their army's better tuned than us. I think I lost to Necrons as well once, but I did beat them in an event once. I always beat Death Guard before, and I still beat them after, so that hasn't really changed. What else have I played? Against Eldari, I guess I did better against Eldari, but I've had some really, really bad losses against Eldari as well, because they can get a lot of fight last and they can completely counter us. So there's that. Let me think what. So I mean, like, my win percent when I play is probably somewhere between like 65 and 75. And like when I was at tournaments last year before Armor of Contempt, my win rate was 80%, because every tournament I went to, I went 4-1. But that doesn't, like, this isn't a dice game, it's a skill-based game, right? And like, I think that my skill is high, but like, I think it's dragged down by the rules, honestly. Like, I sometimes, when I saw like Andrew's Sisters list, and I saw like they have a 100-point unit that will trade away, like, they have a 100-point squad of guys that can pretty much delete like a 300-point Sangre Guard in a turn, and I was like, wow. If I had this in my army, like a 100-point unit that could, he's got 3 of them, of course, right? Like, if I have a 100-point unit that could trade for 300 points like that, I would have won an event for sure by now, I'm sure, but making some big sloppy mistakes tonight. That happens. So I don't think Armour of Contempt really changed my win rate personally, up or down, but I think like my win rate is kind of in, I don't know, I don't think it's wrong of me to say my rules are weak even though my win rate is much higher than the one they posted on the Warhammer community, right? Like, for example, like anytime we get to a psychic phase, you know, like I come up against an Eldar player who has multiple psychic powers that can do 6 mortal wounds. Like, and if I want to cast one of my psychic powers, I do 1 mortal. You know, so it's like, you know, when you see that on paper, same as like, you know, you come up against that thing this week where like you know, they can charge and like on a 4-up they're just going to do like 5 mortal wounds to you or something like that. Tyranids being able to do like 20 mortal wounds per turn. It's just like you see all these other armies that can do a lot more than Marines can do, like a lot more, and the only reason that I'm doing well is because I'm such an experienced player. So like if I was an average player, and there's plenty of average Marine players, I mean, they're not even bad players, they're just average players, and I see them going to events and I see them getting, you know, like I see them leaving events with 0 wins. And it's not necessarily because they're a bad player, they're an average player, but the Marine rules stink. I mean, we're just 20 or 30% weaker than all the other armies. Like our good example is las cannons. You know, Chaos las cannons do d6 plus 2. Admech las cannons do d3 plus 3. Ours do d6. Why the fuck are ours half the strength of, you know, minimum damage on the Admech ones is 4, minimum damage on the Chaos ones is 3, minimum damage on ours is 1. You know, like, why is that? This you know, there's the problem. It's not that Space Marine players are new and bad. That the balance is the problem, or the lack of balance, I guess. So yeah, I think as a Marine player, you have to be at the top of your game right now if you want to get tournament results, or you want to do well at a tournament. And it definitely didn't feel this hard like a year ago. Like a year ago, I could go into events feeling quite confident. You know, before, I'm trying to think, like I went into an event like last year. I think the Sisters Codex was out, I think the Drukhari Codex was out, and I knew that fighting both of them was going to be really difficult. But overall, I felt quite confident with where we were within the meta. But like, if I go to an event now, I'm just like, even with Armour of Contempt, I'm not feeling that we're strong, and I'm not feeling confident in general. I think only allowing any army to take all 3 faction secondaries is a problem. They need to remove that and restrict to 1 or 2. I just think that they need to do a better job of balancing secondaries. Apparently I'm going to play squats maybe this week, Reziel. I don't know, Andrew said he might have them ready. It would be nice to play squats. I need to start figuring out what the hell they do. I'm not sure if there'll be any at the event that I'm going to next month, but I think people will be allowed to take them. Like, they've been out long enough where like it will be valid to run squats if you want to run them. And they have had an FAQ now, so arguably they shouldn't be totally broken. I think they will be a bit broken, but I guess we'll see. Oh, you're welcome, Peter. I mean, it's a hard one to explain. I think that yeah, I think that just Marines are 20 or 30% under-tuned, and if you see Marine players getting frustrated and or taking a break right now, because we've seen it on this channel actually, we've seen people take breaks this edition because you know, loyal members of a community have just been like, nah, fuck it, we're taking a break for 40k. And people don't take a break if the game's balanced, because if the game's balanced and fun and you have a chance to win every week, why do you take a break, you know? You take a break because you're frustrated and you're needing like a reset. So we've seen it happen this edition. We've seen it happen a few times. A few people that were actively subscribers on this channel. Yeah, we'll see. It's good that they're putting out balanced stuff more often, but I guess there's still a ways for it to come, right? There's some Blood Angels at SoCal you need to keep an eye out. Well, I mean, have I played against another Blood Angels player yet? Not for a while, actually. I keep wanting to come up against one in a tournament to see how I do against someone taking it like super seriously. Melee into shooting. I kind of want to put a challenge out to like a high level Blood Angels player that plays melee, that's got a YouTube channel or something, and get them to play my shooting army and see how it goes. I would be really interested to see how that actually goes. But yeah, I don't have the connections, unfortunately. Votan is still massively broken. Well, I mean, I guess I'll find out in a few weeks, because I'm definitely gonna play Votan as soon as Andrew says he's ready. And I don't care if half the models are grey. I'm still gonna play him. We'll give him the 10 points. I just want to see the army in action and see what we would be up against, and I would like to do that before the tournament, because I really don't want my first game against Votan to be at an event where you know, you can do all the reading of the rules that you want, but like you need to actually see them on the tabletop and figure out what's the threats and stuff, don't you? The only viable Custodes army is 75% forward roll. Does that, what would that be, the big dreadnoughts, the Telemon dreadnoughts, I guess? Michael, take me on. I think it's a fair drive to where I am from you, Mike. Like, it was probably a 10-hour drive. You want to drive 10 hours for a game of Warhammer? Reavers, along with Terror Troops and Strats, also get Strat from Overwatch. Yeah, but I mean, like, are you giving up an elite slot for Reavers? I think you're clutching at straws if you want Reavers to work, honestly, because I think they're very, very I mean, I don't even know if I would say they're average. They have a bolt pistol, and they have I mean, they're worse than Assault Intercessors. And Assault Intercessors can bounce off so many things in the current meta. Like, just this week I had, like, what, 26 Assault Intercessor attacks into... What was I even fighting? I think it was just, like, I think it was 26 attacks into, like... I forget the name of Colin's basic troops in that Nurgle Demon's army. They look like Poxwalkers, but they're not. They're not possessed. They're Plague Bearers. Is it Plague Bearers? It was like 26 attacks into Plague Bearers, and they did 3 wounds. Like, they're just Assault Intercessors just bounce off stuff. So Reavers will just bounce off stuff even harder. I don't see... Remember that... Oh, Peter, thank you so much for the gifted membership. Stephen, congratulations, you are a member. You need to say thank you to Peter. Do appreciate gifted memberships. I don't know if they come up on my sub goal. I imagine they should, but I don't know if they come up. I've updated the sub goal. We're just going to try and get... What is it, 25 subs or something for the end of 2020, because you guys were awesome last week, helped me hit my September goal. So I just rolled September, October, or sorry, October, November, December all in together. So that's going to be the goal for 2020, I guess. Yeah, remember they made like a version of Reavers, like they were a kill team for Space Wolves only. I can't remember what they were called, but they were like Hounds of Mordecai or something, maybe. Like a Reaver kill team that are really good at fighting Psychers, or I don't even know if they're really good. I guess slightly better than regular Reavers for fighting Psychers. And they made this Space Wolf kill team. I mean, I've gone to events. I've never seen anyone run this Space Wolf. I mean, I've gone to events with Space Wolf players. It's not like I don't go to events that have Space Wolves. Space Wolves are actually one of the other Marine factions that don't totally suck at the moment. And like, no one's running that kill team. And that's like a better version of Reavers probably for about the same point. So, like, no one's running that for Wolves. So why would anyone run Reavers for Marines? I hate to be the person that says don't take Reavers because they suck, but like, it's really hard to sugarcoat some of that stuff at the moment, where it's like, you know, because I mean, I've painted Reavers and I've run them and they suck, you know, like they don't do any damage, and I don't, in my list, I don't have CP to be throwing around trying to, like, I think the Reaver stratagem's honestly cutesy. I'd much rather pay the 1 CP and put Rites of War. Ink says, oh, are we doing the gifting thing? Inks, you're very welcome to gift on this channel anytime you want. Last week was awesome. Let's talk about Outriders. I saw your comments in Discord about Outriders. I do not disagree that Outriders are good for, like, White Scars. I think they're probably pretty legit for White Scars. The problem is, like, when they put some of these units in the Space Marine Codex, and this is what happened with the Redemptor Dreadnoughts, right? Like, Redemptor Dreadnoughts were cheaper, like quite a bit cheaper, but then every single Black Templar player started running 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, and every single Black Templar player took that oath that made them, they can never be wounded on rolls of, like, the mini transhumans, so they can only be wounded on 3+, and they all have a 5+ invulnerable save. And then Redemptors went up in points because, you know, they were awesome for Black Templars, and it was like an auto-include for Black Templars by Black Templars players. So in some ways, Black Templars spamming out Redemptor Dreadnoughts made it impossible for Blood Angels to run Redemptor Dreadnoughts anymore. I mean, I guess you can run Redemptors for Blood Angels, it just went up like 30 points, but it went up 30 points because of the Black Templar stuff, right? So in some ways I think it's the same problem with Outriders, right? Like, Outriders are probably legitimately good for White Scars. Here we go, here's the gifted subs. Thanks so much. Daryl, welcome. You guys are really awesome with the gifted subs. If you do get a gifted sub, it means that you do now have access to our members only room in Discord, so go over to our Discord and hit on the members room. So yeah, I think Outriders are, in some ways, are going to have the same problem in that, like, they're legitimately good with White Scars, right? Because they can charge in advance, and they can also get +1 damage to their 1 damage chainswords, which suddenly makes them good if they're hitting with 2 damage chainswords. The problem is that they're now not balanced. They now can't, you know, they're now crap for Blood Angels, for example. And I don't think it's probably fixable, but unless they start doing like individual points for units within the individual codexes. So for example, a Redemptor Dreadnought could cost more points for Space Wolves or Black Templars than it does for Blood Angels. I just don't think I'm going to see that. I don't think they're going that way. I thought they were trying to go the other way. Yeah, the community on this channel is strong. You guys are so awesome. You're always here. You're always hanging out. You're always gifting subs. It's super awesome. Outriders good in Dark Angels. Well, what would they get in Dark? I'm not so familiar with like Ravenwing. Like usually when I play Dark Angels, it's Deathwing that I come up against, right? And like Deathwing are all about like the inner circle. I know with Ravenwing they get something with their land speeders, like when they advance they get a 4+ in Vun save. Like what do Outriders actually get in Dark Angels that would make them good? Because I thought Dark Angel's bonus was like these, if they were still, like if their unit stood still, they could reroll 1s by default or something. I don't know why Outriders would be good for Dark Angels, but yeah, I mean, Outriders probably good for White Scars, probably not good at all. Well, probably not good? No, they suck for Blood Angels. Sorry, they just suck. They got Obsec and then they get an Invulnerable. Well, I mean, they'd be better because they got Obsec. Yeah, that's true. Good evening, James. The Biker Marines look cool. Yeah, I mean, Biker Marines do look cool. There's a lot of stuff that looks cool in our Codex Berg that sucks, unfortunately. I'm finally getting my Gladiator tank. I think Mike said that he'd put it in the post today for me, so I'll have a Gladiator tank. I guess I'll run it in a few games, but I am really worried it's going to suck. But I mean, at the same time, the way I see it is like Games Workshop are surely going to want those Primaris tanks and stuff to be good at some point, right? They do want to sell those things, so like, yeah, the Gladiators might not be great right now, but surely at some point they're going to be good, right? If the new Codex Space Marine is written by the person that wrote all these other codexes and the balance is the same, then I mean, I'm sure we'll be fine. So here's a question, and it's a serious question actually, and it was about fighting demons for the first time this week. And maybe this question is directed a little bit towards, like, I know Reziel was a big fan. He was in the chat earlier, hasn't spoken in a few minutes. Maybe Highland Phoenix, you're a fan as well, but like, so a lot of people felt like a better build than a sanguinary librarian, right? Was like the firstborn librarian with a jump pack, right? But like giving him the Librarius discipline, is that the name of it? Like the one that gives you like Mighty Heroes, Veil of Time, Null Zone, etc, etc. I think it's called Librarius discipline. Does the Librarian discipline become shit now because of demons and the demon saves? Because demon saves are basically invulnerable saves that can't be modified, right? So like, my understanding, and I did ask Colin about this, I was like, oh, so does Null Zone not work on demon saves? And he was like, yeah, you can't remove them. They're not invulnerable saves. They're demon saves. So like before, maybe even just before the Demon Codex came out, people would say like, well, the Blood Angels, you know, Null Zone's a better pick than Unleash Rage because removing invulnerable saves has more value than getting those exploding sixes. But exploding sixes can't really be countered, right? Whereas like now, Null Zone can't be used against demons, so like, has the firstborn librarian, not that I run him all that much, in fact I haven't run him in probably like a year. I don't think I've really run him since Mephiston came down to 140 points, because I like Mephiston at 140 points, probably more than most people. But yeah, so I don't run him, but like, does he now lose some of his value because of that, I guess? Like, if you're going to run a firstborn librarian, should you, and you know, you do want to run a firstborn librarian with a jump pack because you like the mobility and maybe you want to give him rights of war and stuff like that, but should you now just be like, right, it's just better to just actually still have the sanguinary discipline because at least my power won't get like shut down or cancelled by the demon. No invulnerable saves, right? Demons don't invalidate Null Zone. I mean, well, I mean they do, but you mean in general. You think that like just because demons can't be Null Zone doesn't make the Null Zone build less weak. Fair enough. That was my question. Because I know you guys love that firstborn librarian sort of deal, whereas I'm kind of indifferent to it now. I've run it a few times, but I think for my playstyle I just prefer Mephiston. Once I started using Unleash Rage for my Librarian Dreadnought, I've learned to love that, says Kevin. Yeah, I mean, I've learned to love Mythostone. The whole point of Demon Save is that it can't be countered. Well, yeah, I mean, for them, I mean, that's what invulnerable saves used to be as well, right? I guess just at some point the line in the sand got changed to invulnerable saves can be countered, but at one point that in the game that was very much what an invulnerable save was, is an uncounterable save, right? Kevin hates the D3 damage from his sword. Yeah, I mean, you got to play around the fact that his sword goes high and low, I guess. I mean, I don't take him for his sword. The sword's fine, I guess. But I mean, I really don't pick him for his sword. It's about reducing inconsistency in dice. Therefore, a librarian with a jump pack doesn't need to cast anything to move at least 12. Depends on what you want to do. Okay. Oh, my daughter's up again. Right back. Come on, sweetheart, lie down, please. Remember when cover acted like an invuln? No, I don't remember that. What edition was that, man? When you go back like 10 years, there's a lot of shit I don't remember. The parenting aspect of the stream bot. Every stream I have to go AFK, basically. At some point, it seems like. Oh well. It's fine. It'll be a nice day when my kid finally decides that they like Warhammer as well. Evening, Campbell, good evening. 5th edition, I didn't really play 5th all that much, I think. I played 2nd, 3rd and 4th a lot. And then 8th and 9th, I maybe played a little bit of 5th. But honestly, it's kind of blurry back then. I mean, I find it hard enough to remember what I had for dinner last night, let alone what the rules were like editions ago. Who needs cover with a Rhino Rush? I do remember Rhino Rushes. I also do remember when I first got my attack bikes, because I remember thinking that they were super awesome for Blood Angels, like, and that was when multi-meltas just had a single shot, right? Because the only multi-meltas only became like a 2-shot gun, like was it in the 8th they became a 2-shot gun? So I remember when I got my first attack bike and I was like, oh, this is a bike with a multi-melt on it, this is awesome. And it was just one shot you got. Right, I'm going to do a tiny little bit of tidying up with black at the moment, because these guys are... Their feet are a mess because I based them too early. Like, I don't like basing my models this early in the process, but because I might be taking these guys to a tournament, I have to get the basing done, because that's one of the stipulations, right, for tournament play, that they're based. So based these guys way earlier than I wanted to. If your kid decides they like Warhammer, it's going to be an expensive day for you. I have a lot of models in the pile of shame, James, and I have armies and games coming out. I have a lot that hopefully it wouldn't be too expensive. My problem is that, like, I collect probably quicker than I can paint. I've always done that. When we got pregnant with, or I say when we got pregnant, when my wife got pregnant with my first kid, she was like, how are you going to survive? Because you won't be able to buy Warhammer stuff. We won't be able to afford it. And I was like, I'll survive because I might actually finish all the shit that I have in boxes. I mean, I haven't got anywhere close to it, so, I mean, I do still, I can still afford to buy some things every month or something like that. So it's not that bad, but like, yeah, I mean, I do think that like, I was fine, because I was like, I'm gonna try and finish a lot of things that need to be finished, that should have been finished for years, I guess. I mean, those assault marines that I was looking at down there, I mean, those guys are like, I'd be really surprised if those models aren't like 25 years old. Like that metal one, which is the metal one? Yeah, this is the metal one. Like, look at the state of this old metal jump pack. That actually might even be a Dante jump pack on there. It looks a bit like an old Dante jump pack that's probably been sprayed about 5 times. Was there another metal one? No, but there was another metal jump pack. Oh no, that's not metal either. Oh, well, there was more metal ones when I was looking at them earlier. These must be plastic, but some of these old metal ones were super old, like so many years old. My stepson plays 40k, so it's the only one extra army to pay for, kind of two actually. I think it would be cool to have a kid that wants to share your hobbies with you. It'll give you some sort of bond. So yeah, I mean, if they need an army, they need an army. I'll be finished my Blood Angels surely by then, unless they release a million really good Primaris models, right? Who knows what we're getting next, though? That was probably one of the biggest questions, actually, in terms of, like, for a while there, like, when they were releasing a lot of, like, was it like at the beginning of 8th and then into 9th? You know, they released like Death Company Intercessors, and then they released like, you know, I guess in arguably some way like Blade Guard Veterans and then Domitus Box and stuff, and felt like there was a lot of new Marine stuff, and then all of a sudden like that's dried up for like what feels like a long time. Like, when was the last time we actually got new Marine stuff? Like, was it with the Codex, which would have arguably been before the Blood Angels Codex? So like there hasn't been anything new Marines for like 2 years at this point, maybe longer. I'm curious if anyone knows exactly what was the last thing that was new for Marines. Like, what was it? Yeah, there's a good question. So what was the last, like, Blood Angels release, and also what was the last generic Space Marines release? Like, not like a You know, the Black Templar's got a box, but that's not generic, right? That was just like Black Templar specifically. So what was the last generic one that like all Marine factions could use? And then what was the last Blood Angels release? Like, how long ago were those releases? That's what I want to know, I guess. Oops, don't drop him. Oh, the Gravis Captain? Yeah, that's true. We did get that Gravis Captain. I don't think many people bought him, though, did they? Or maybe he just wasn't that exciting for Blood Angels because we need our characters to have jump packs. I bought the Heavy Intercessor box that came with Pariah Nexus. I think that was a Kill Team release, right? Where it was like you got Heavy Intercessors and you got like a captain in basically Heavy Intercessor armor. I think he had a bolt rifle or something. But that feels a while ago now. It must have been over a year ago, I think, at this point, right? Not counting Heresy. Yeah, I mean, I guess the Heresy stuff is arguably new releases, but there's nothing actually new, like in terms of like new rules or anything, right? Like it's just like, hey, these models are now in plastic, which in and of itself is cool though, because some of those Forge World kits, I made some of those old Forge World Redemptor Dreadnoughts. Contemptor Dreadnoughts, and they were an absolute nightmare. I used so much super glue on some of them, and yeah, they were nightmarish to say the least. Super glue, pinning, and then like a lot of just sat there holding the two parts together, and then whenever you let go of them, they fell apart anyway. So. I ran 2 Redemptors with Angel's Artifice and Iron Resolve as a laugh. Makes him toughness 7. Who can get toughness 7? The Gravis Captain? Surely he's only toughness 6. Didn't Incursor get some new poses in a kill team? I mean, like, I think you're right, but I don't know if I class that as a new release. Like, I don't even think it was new weapon options. If it's just new poses, I wouldn't class that as a new release, I guess. I mean, new poses are nice and stuff, but it's nothing to write home about in terms of like, hey, you know, this is going to help Marines out or stuff. Which is, I guess, what I'm looking at. Yeah, Krill, good evening. The Gravis Captain is a beast, but kind of stationary. Yeah, I mean, I don't like captains, and I think it's just the 5-inch move that really puts me off. Like, you know, I enjoyed playing the 3-man squad of Centurions that I played at the start of the... Like, I played 3-man Centurion. I was playing Centurions kind of before anyone else was playing Centurions for Blood Angels. But it was just a 3-man squad, and I mean, I don't love 5-inch move on Blood Angel units, I guess. I mean, it's probably one of the reasons that I don't play Eradicators anymore, just because I really prefer the attack bikes. Like, I feel like the mobility of the attack bikes by far makes up for the fact that they get, like, I guess point for point they're more expensive than Eradicators, right? Wasn't the Storm Speeders newer? I mean, the Storm Speeders had rules in the Codex, so they're at least 2 years old. I think the Codex came out before the Storm Speeders came out. Like, what do I mean by that? I think like the Codex had the rules for the Storm Speeders, even though the models for the Storm Speeders weren't released, right, Tezab? But it wasn't like they weren't planned. They were announced before the Codexes came out. You're probably right, Christian, in that like maybe just saying like when was the last time Marines got a release is probably the wrong way to be looking at it. Probably the right way to be looking at it is, you know, they already said Marines have a shitty win rate. Like, so why is that? Like, how many of the, you know, we did a tier list on this channel like 8 months ago now, I think it was, maybe slightly longer, but like we looked at all the units and you know, there was a bunch of units in every category, you know, fast attack, elite troops or whatnot, that all got put into like C and D tier. So basically these units are not competitive and they need work, and you know, maybe a better way to be looking at it would be like, what units are still C or D tier and how long are they going to be there, and will they ever not be C or D tier? I gotta be really careful here so I don't make a mistake and then have to go back and fix the black on the feet again. Chances of me not making a mistake though feel like slim to none. I've got an eye test on Tuesday though. I'm going to try and get some new glasses, which is going to be great. Pretty sure my left eye's, the prescription on my glasses these days is wrong on my left eye, because if I cover my right eye, I'm struggling to like read text easily with just the left eye, so I guess the left eye is I'm getting old. But yeah, no, I think I just need a new prescription or an updated prescription for my left eye, so I've got an eye test on Tuesday, and then that'll help with all my painting going forward, because I've noticed as well I've been getting more tired in the evening, and I think the tiredness, when you don't have the right prescription on your glasses, you get tired as well, because your brain is like trying to compensate all the time for like one of your eyes being shit. So I'm excited to get new glasses, honestly. It's a sad thing to be excited about, but nonetheless, I am excited to get new glasses. I'm like 99% sure they're going to give me new ones. I'm convinced there's something wrong with my left eye. Which makes painting tiny little fine details like this a headache. Literally a headache, in that like I'll get a headache if I do it for too long because I can't see properly. The joys of aging, says Kevin. Yeah, indeed. What's hilarious is GW thought changing shot tactics and nothing else would fix all of Space Marines. I don't know if they did think that, Highland Phoenix. Like, I get that that's the only change they made, but surely, I mean, if they'd looked at any of the tournament data, you know, like I said it a few weeks back in one of my videos, like Codex Warfare is complete trash, right? Like, Codex Warfare is literally one of the worst performing secondaries in the entire game. Like, anyone that takes it barely even scores 5 points for it. It doesn't get picked, and when it's picked, you know, the average says that people don't even score 5 points for it. So it is one of the worst secondaries in the entire game. So it's like they were trying to have a small change because they didn't want to mess with the balance too much, but like, at the same time, like, that small change is just it's a non-change almost. It's so small. Braydon, hello. Thank you so much for becoming a member. I'm not sure we've met, Braydon, but yeah, I do appreciate it. Please please click on the video description, join up onto our Discord, and you get access to the members only room now, so please come and get in there. And if you have trouble getting in there, just PM me on Discord. Some people have been some people have been having trouble getting into the room this week, but I believe all the issues are fixed. But yeah, if you're having any issues, message me and we'll get it sorted out. What's been really heartening for me, is that the right word? Like, I actually told my wife about this. Like last week or the week before in the tactics video, right? I made like that spreadsheet, the flow chart for like secondaries, on like how people could score more secondaries in games, and like, hey, here's a flow chart of Blood Angel secondaries, and if you're having trouble picking secondaries, you can follow this flow chart and hopefully it'll help you pick a little bit better, right? What's been really heartening this last week on the YouTube channel and also like on the Facebook group and in Discord is a bunch of you guys have sent pictures of yourselves at like your local hobby store or at like wherever you play Warhammer 40k, and in the pictures there's a printed out version of that flowchart, and people have been saying like, hey, this flowchart has helped me score more points in this game and I found it really useful, and no one's really come back yet and been like, hey John, your flowchart's a piece of shit. It's been the complete opposite. It's like everyone that's printed out and has used it has felt like they got value out of it. I printed it out and used it against Colin this week, and I mean I beat Colin and I picked good secondaries. I think the lowest secondary I scored was no prisoners for like 10 points, or was it 12 points? I don't remember, but what I do remember was thinking, hey, this secondary thing is actually really useful. So it's been really heartening for me to see that like the community has embraced it and people have downloaded it and people have enjoyed using it, and yeah, no, I really actually, like, that was a really cool moment for me this week. So everyone that posted up a picture of using the flowchart, or people posting up that they thought it was awesome, and I see some of you in the chat right now saying that it's awesome. My opponent complained about a flowchart being shit. Okay, like he complained because you scored points, or he claimed because you didn't score enough points? He complained because it made it easier for... Oh, that's all... Yeah. I mean, that's why you're a member of this channel, right, Jason? That's why I do what I do. I appreciate you guys, you appreciate me. If I can make it that you guys score more points in every game, and I mean, I benefit from it too, right? Like, I scored more points because I just went down my flowchart and just went like, well, looks like this would be the best pick, and it turned out that it was actually a decent pick and I scored well. So, Peter, thank you so much for the 5 Canadian. Appreciate it. It's funny that your opponent complained, but I mean, at the same time, I mean, I guess if the component's complaining, then I'm doing something right. I'm providing value. I think it's going to be a great tool. I'll update it when there's more data, and I'll update it in the future, and I think it's something that I'll probably endeavour to keep update going forward, because the amount of times I've been at tournaments and I've made bad secondary choices, and at the end of the game I've thought to myself, I could have had 10 more points if I picked another secondary. So if I can make that a thing that people can, you know, it's a part of being a benefit of a member. I mean, I guess non-members get it too. I'm not really putting stuff behind a paywall, but yeah, no, I mean, thank you so much for the support, and I'm really glad you guys have liked it. I don't even know where the idea came from, honestly. Sometimes I just have mad ideas when I'm trying I'm trying to think up a new tactics video every week. Some weeks I find it really easy, and some weeks I find it really difficult. It must just be like what my mojo's like for that week, and also if I've got a cool idea, because yeah, sometimes, you know, I always think it's like random, you know, like I know, like at the beginning of every week, like on a Monday, I'm like, right, I need to think of an idea for a tactics video this week. And sometimes I'm like, it's super easy, and then sometimes it's super hard for me to come up with something. And you know what? The videos on secondaries don't get a lot of views. I don't know why people don't like videos on secondaries, but I guess the people that do like it can get a lot of value out of it, so it's great. I need to think of other pain points, like what other big pain points do I have, and how can I address those as well. They're just jealous. There probably isn't a channel dedicated to their army. I mean, any of those other people could start a channel dedicated to their army. If anything, I've proved with the Blood Angels channel that there is a space on YouTube for a channel dedicated to one army. I'm sure someone will do it. I know that there is a channel dedicated to World Eaters now. The guy's channel name is called The Red Path. I believe he's Australian, or maybe he's not. Maybe I better not say it. Like, he's Australian or New Zealand. I mean, that's where his accent sounds like. And I know about him because Brett watches him, and Brett's obviously a World Eater player. So there is other people doing similar stuff. The video that I watched, I only watched like one or two of his videos because I don't play World Eaters, right? But like, they seemed decent. He seemed like he knew what he's talking about. He was doing like breakdowns similar to what I do. So I guess there is some other people out there doing something similar for different armies. But yeah, maybe I'm the biggest for a single army, I guess. But we're still growing. We just hit 11,000 subscribers, like maybe at the beginning of the month. And I think possibly in the next couple of days it'll be like 11.1k. So I mean, I don't know how big our chapter is, but it's still growing. Probably like 100 subs every... probably like 200 subs a month or something. Do you ever run the Primaris Tech Marine, asked Daryl? Yeah, I mean, I ran him to a bunch of events, Daryl. I think if you're going to run like Dreadnought heavy lists, then he's fine. I don't think he's as strong anymore since the CP changes, because before the CP changes, like when you started on 12 CP, it was very easy to play the CP for adaptive strategy. I think it's called adaptive strategy. It's the one that costs you 2 CP and gets units straight into every doctrine, and you obviously can use it to get like Death Company or whoever into Assault Doctrine in turn 1 without taking the Priest. So I think the Tech Marine was more common potentially before Nephilim, like if we go back to Nakmund, and I think he was probably a little bit more viable. But I mean, he's still okay. And the Tech Marine actually gets 8 attacks, so he's not a slouch in combat. He can do some damage, and he's got 2-up save, and he's got 2-up ballistic skill. He's a good carrier of Quake bolts. I've used the Primaris Tech. I like my Primaris Tech Marine as well. He's a cool model. So yeah, I mean, I've used him. Will I use him again? Probably. Am I more on team like Sangori Priest right now? Yes. Does it mean I'll never run the Priest, the Tech Marine again? No. And also, if you ever want to run a super heavy tank, which I mean, sometimes you want to, it's fun to run super heavy tanks, but also, yeah, if you're going to run a super heavy tank, a Priest is going to give you a lot of value, because the +1 to hit on like all the weapons on a super heavy tank is going to be really valuable. Daryl says he's going to run 2 Redemptors. I don't know if the Priest is going to be worth it. I mean, he is going to be worth it. I guess the question... Sorry. The Tech Marine is going to be worth it. The question you're going to have is... how are you going to feel by possibly having to give up the priest? And I think right now that's a really difficult choice to have to make. And I think the priest is possibly the stronger of the two choices at the moment. Like I said, I don't think it was such a big deal when you can get more command points, but Nephilim's only one season. Who knows where the command points are going to go? Maybe they'll swing back the other way, and maybe the Tech Marine's not a bad shout. Last time I played Ultramarines, actually, I ran the Primaris Tech Marine. I actually gave him Quake Bolts because his Forge Bolter is a great weapon for Quake Bolts, right? Because it's got the 2-up ballistic skill and it's also an assault weapon. So he can advance and still shoot a Quake Bolt on a 3-up, which means, like, you know, you get like 30 odd inches on that Quake Bolt. And I actually did him Quake Bolt Gilliman and then had a Leviathan Dreadnought charge and just like eat Gilliman alive. So yeah, I like the Tech Marine. I don't think he's a bad character. I just think that you need a priest right now. But if you're going to do a build like that with double Redemptor, you can make it work. Maybe you can sit back a little bit for a couple of turns, and then go a bit more offensive in turn 3 when the Assault Doctrine naturally kicks in. So maybe you don't feel like you need the priest as much. And that is a valid tactic. I've played lists like that before. Just Armor of Contempt has changed some of that, because I feel like without the extra AP for Assault Doctrine, Marines / anything that's got Armor of Contempt is actually quite survivable against Blood Angels. Like something that makes us not survivable against is the extra AP, really, from the Assault Doctrine. What was the World Eaters? What was their channel? The Red Path. If you do go over there and speak to him at any point, tell him I sent you. Because I was trying to make friends with the guy. He seems like a very decent guy, and I think I might have him on my channel front page, actually. Team Priest John will always be Team Mephiston. I like Mephiston. I mean, I like Mephiston because he costs no CP. That's why I like him. So I guess, yeah, it's just the no CP cost. I like CP a lot, and I guess I feel like Mephiston is good because he costs none. I think he's decent for costing none. I have 3 vehicles, a Whirlwind, a Vindicator Laser Destroyer, and a Storm Speeder. I still get more out of the Priest. Okay, well that's good to know. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was trying to say a little bit, is that, like, I think the Priest is the better choice right now, but the Primaris Tech Marine isn't bad. He certainly isn't a bad character. He can do work, and he's also a very cool model, actually. I like the Primaris Tech Marine a lot. I think this brush is sort of starting to go the way of the dinosaur. It's on its way out. You got little hairs sticking off at random directions. Burgosaurus is painting up Tech Marine right now, but that's for Ultramarines. Ultramarines, dude. Come on. There's nothing ultra about them, is there? Shots fired. I actually do wonder when Ultramarines are getting a codex, because they have had to wait a long time since their last release, right? Blasphemy, yeah, it is blasphemy. I'd probably beat you with my ultras, you would not. Oh, don't make me laugh. Colin tried so many times to beat me with his ultras, it happened like once out of 50. Too predictable, you know what they're gonna do. Even with Gilman, or Girly Man as a bunch of people want to call him. Hello, Cyberwolf. Jason also has a hidden army of ultras. Alright, well, I mean, if they're hidden, I'll let you off. I've never actually painted Ultramarine. I might actually quite like to paint one once, just to feel like... I actually don't think I've ever painted a Marine of non-Blood Angels. Which is funny when you've got like 20,000 points of an army, you would think that you would have tried something else, but no, I don't think I've ever tried any other chapter, I guess. Dinosaurs were real and turned into petroleum. Synthetic brushes are plastic and made from petroleum, so brushes are dinosaurs. I mean, I guess synthetic ones, I believe these ones are sable, which is horsehair, right? My daughter confused me today, actually. It was kind of funny, like, when you're talking about, like, what things are made of. My daughter said to me, like, out of the blue, because she's at the age where she asks questions about everything. She said to me, like, "Daddy, what's fire made out of?" And I went, like, because, like, I actually don't really know what fire's made out of. I mean, I did chemistry and physics at school, but, like, I don't know what fucking fire's made out of. Is it like is fire even a thing? Is it, like, not a chemical reaction? I don't know. So I sort of said to her, I sort of went like, you know, like to sort of like stall for time, to basically be like, I'm not sure. She just looked right in my face and was like, "Tell me, Daddy." I was like, oh my god, I don't know. Because like she gets frustrated if she asks questions and we don't answer. But I think today I just genuinely didn't have a clue. Like, what is fire made out of? Good question, huh? Oxygen, heat and fuel. I mean, yeah, I did think oxygen, but like, isn't oxygen what fuels the fire, right? So what is fire like? I don't know. I think it's just a chemical reaction. I don't think it's made out of anything, right? I don't know. I didn't get around to Wikipediaing it because it was near bedtime and just put it to bed. Like, bad father. Don't know what fire is made out of. I was checking on those assault marines for a second and see where they are. So that's what I did at the start of the stream. Like, it's decent, right? Now you can see some of the green stuff worked its way into the bottom. But yeah, I think when you put a coat of paint over those, which you can probably do about an hour after you've done them, you probably wouldn't really even know that they unless you look really closely, you wouldn't know that they've had base extenders put on them. which I think is nice because sometimes, like, I didn't want to try and rip all the models off the bases. I'm sure I would damage them. I'm like 100% sure I would end up damaging some of them. Yeah, let's go with multi-melta, how about that? Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get some new brushes soon. See, some of these models I know that I did when I was a kid, because look at that, there's like just an extra bit of sprue on that one. So this Death Company guy must be like 30 years old, because apparently when I clipped it, I just left like a bit of the sprue on there and didn't even notice. Or I was like a young kid and was like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. Probably some of these models are like I said, like 25 years old. It's actually kind of crazy. They probably were like, if models had souls, these guys would have been the guys in the drawer thinking like, I'm going to go through my entire life here never getting any paint on me. But like in Toy Story, they're like, we're just not the favourites, we're never getting painted. Which brushes am I using? These Element Games ones. I've been using these ones for a while actually. They're a bit cheaper than the Games Workshop ones. I mean, they used to be about half the price of those Games Workshop Artificer brushes. And I always thought they were better. I think I actually maybe have an Artist Opal brush. Like a size 0 one that maybe is brand new. Actually, yeah, so maybe I should look at this. I think probably how I like to paint, Mike, is see at this point in these models, you know, because I spend a lot of time on the base coats, I guess. Like, so when I'm doing base coats, I'm happy to use like an absolute trashed old brush and just build up base coats and stuff, and then it's when I actually come to do detail, then I'm like, right, now I need a sort of slightly better or slightly newer brush. And then as I maybe transition into like another squad of guys, you know, I'll continue to use the new brush, and then like a little bit down the line again it'll get to a point where like that new brush will be a bit crap and I'll use it for base coats, and then when I'm done with the base coats I'll sort of bin it and move on. So yeah, that's maybe where I am. I like those Artist Opal brushes a lot, but they're like 14-15 bucks each, I think, and like I feel like I can't really justify to buy them all the time, because I guess it's just too much for a brush for someone of my level of painting, I guess, maybe. But I do really like the Artist Opal brushes. If you use them, they're really nice. Do the detail ones hold points well? Which ones? The Element Games one? Or the Artist Opal ones? The Artist Opal one was I think I've only bought one of them before, but it was amazing. It lasted ages. Like, it lasted like 6 months or something. And this was when I painted more often, because I painted a lot more often before I was doing like YouTube videos. Probably like painted an extra, I probably painted like 12 hours a week, so it probably, maybe even more actually, maybe closer to like between 12 and 20 hours. So, you know, you probably, on those Artist Opal brush, I probably got like maybe like 500 hours of painting out of it, and it was still holding a point, and it still felt really good after, you know, like 450 hours or something. And I mean, you guys see how I paint. I don't take great care of the brushes. don't always do. I know you're supposed to do the strokes in a certain direction so that you're never like pushing the brushes away from you. Well, I don't care about that. I just brush them on whichever way I feel like it's gonna work, you know. So it's like, yeah, I was really impressed with the artist opal brush that I had. I bought one more, but I feel like, yeah, I can't justify to buy them all the time, I guess. Oh, here's our Slanesh bot. It's Saturday night and people are looking for that hot hookup on Tinder, apparently. My thought is like, do you really need to spam that there's a Tinder website? Like, if people want that, pretty sure they know about it at this point, but whatever. So, on Friday night this week coming, we're going to watch The Thing, because apparently it's in cinemas here in the UK. I think I mentioned this in one of my other streams. If you've never seen The Thing, which is the 1982 John Carpenter classic movie, then definitely consider checking out your local cinema and see if they're putting it on for Halloween, because a bunch of cinemas here in the UK are doing it. And honestly, it's one of the greatest movies of all time, in my opinion. We're gonna review the 4K version of it, or this 4K re-release on the Grotz channel in one of the coming episodes, because yeah, it is a brilliant film, and I guess it's getting a limited re-release because there's a 4K remaster. Do I use brush soap? Yeah, I use brush soap after every paint session. I actually need to get a new one. Where was my brush soap? It's in here somewhere. The other desk in my room at the moment is a disaster zone because we've got my wife's desk in here. This is the brush soap I use. One of these lasts like about $10, and they honestly last like 2 years of regular painting. So you can get them on Amazon, or you can get them on like any good hobby supplies. Maybe there's better brush soap than that stuff, but that stuff seems pretty decent. But yeah, I mean, 500 hours for one brush seemed like to still have a really good point and a really crisp finish. Even with the brush soap, felt like I really was impressed with those artist opal ones. But yeah, I mean, the Element Game character brushes, they're decent. They last a good amount of time, not quite as long as the artist opal ones, but overall I rate them very highly. They're like my go-to brushes. And I tried a bunch. I tried some from Army Painter and all sorts. I never got a great experience from Army Painter products, honestly. Like, I don't think the Army Painter products are bad. I think they're comparable to the Games Workshop ones, and they're a bit cheaper than the Games Workshop ones, but the Games Workshop products for brushes anyway, felt more like, I don't know, too expensive for what you were getting, and Army Painter felt fine, but nothing amazing, but at a much better price point. But I mean, there's so many channels that probably do more serious hobby stuff than I do, in terms of like there's a bunch of channels that just do painting. One of my favorite channels, if you've never seen him, Maybe I can give him a shout out, and any of you guys that I don't think he even knows who the fuck I am, to be honest, but one of my favourite channels is Ninjon. If you like hobby content, painting content, Ninjon. I think his name's John, actually, same as me. I assume that is why his channel's called Ninjon, but he does like tons of hobby based painting, and he's generally quite funny, and he's got a big channel. I watch a lot of his content, or whenever it appears in my timeline, I guess I'll watch it if I've got time. And he does like paint reviews and all sorts. I'm sure if you wanted to see someone's opinion on brushes, probably trust his opinion over mine. Anytime I try to paint something, well, I mean, if you're struggling with painting, I have done like a video on like battle ready painting for like Sangreguard Zachary, but like, again, there's a lot of channels on YouTube that will tell you how to do it better. But another thing that you have to remember with painting is it's the same as like any skill, it's practice, right? You know, like, so I've been painting Warhammer stuff for like 10 years, and like even now, like, look how rough these guys look. Like, I have to spend a lot of time on every single model to make it look decent. So it's just practice, right? I have seen Trapped Under Plastic, Jason. Yeah, I'm not actually a subscriber to his Trapped Under Plastic podcast, but no, I guess I watched quite a lot of I don't know how I even found Ninjon on. He must have appeared in my timeline or something, but I really like his content. His videos generally make me laugh, and I watch a lot like Master Soap is even what my wife uses for acrylic brushes for landscapes. She makes a lot more from her paintings than any of my side hustles, says Foz. Okay, so the Master Soap is actually quite good, is it? Alright, I'm going to be on here for maybe like 10-15 minutes more, and then I'm going to be heading to bed. So if there's any final Blood Angels related questions, you could ask them. And we are going to be back tomorrow night. There's going to be a little preview video tomorrow where we talk over the balanced data slate, and then it'll be into the army list show as normal. So if the army list show is starting a little bit later, you'll be able to I'll put a link up to the stream that we're going to do on the balanced data slate tomorrow. But I mean, there's not too much to say on the balanced data slate. It's got some improvements, right? Overall, though, I think it was frustrating for a lot of people. Kevin says the new GW tools are rips off. I don't know if they are, Kevin, but like I said, Ninjon did a video on all 4 tools. I think he said 2 of them were decent. I don't tend to buy hobby tools from places like GW. I mean, I don't even buy my models from GW. I usually look for a reseller just because I like to get the best price. But as far as hobby tools go, I always think that like cheap and cheerful can work just as well. The only thing that I probably spent a little bit more on is a drill, but even then I bought a drill on Amazon, and it felt like it was a dirt cheap hand drill. My 1500 point army had 3 lots of Death Company with 4 hammers.
I'd like to add more Death Company for a 2,000 point store tournament, but has the rule of 3. Is 8 hammers and a 10-man squad too many, says Stephen. I mean, it's very one-dimensional, Stephen. Have you thought about the Infernal Pistol / Power Sword Death Company? Because that's really, really strong. Plus, there's a danger to run like 10-man squads and 2,000 points, especially of Death Company. Like if you're running Astaroth, then maybe it's fine, but like there's a lot of armies that can, like, Death Company do die pretty quickly when focused. The rule of 3 is a very standard rule, though. Like you kind of need to, when you're building lists in general, you just need to always be obeying that rule of 3. It's been that way for like, I actually don't know how many years, but it feels like a significant amount of time. And I don't foresee that changing anytime soon. I actually thought they might do like a season, you know, because they're doing these sort of like seasons now, like Nephilim, Nachmund. I actually thought they might do a season where they limit that even further to try and like keep the game more fresh, but who knows. Nothing is truly survivable, says Reziel. That's true. But nothing is... how much is a Death Company model with a hammer again? Like, is it 36 points a model? I mean, that's a lot of points for a 2-wound Marine, I guess, right? Especially if you're running, I don't know, 20 of them, 30 of them. Feels like a lot of points anyway. If you want Fury of Lost on a 4th, 5th Death Company, 8-man Death Company Intercessors isn't bad at 160 to eat mortals, but they're slow. Yeah, I've thought a few times about like running an Impulsor maybe to make like a Death Company Intercessors list work, or to, but like I always sort of shy away from it. Like I always think about it and then I'm always like, but Impulsors are kind of expensive and they don't do that much and they aren't survivable, so it always seems like something that like I consider on paper, but then when we actually get to the step of like building the army, I just instantly shy away from. And I think like I already touched on it earlier with that Gravis Captain. Like I have that Gravis Captain and I have those heavy infiltrator, no, heavy incursors. What are they called again? Are they just called heavy incursors? I forget what they're called now. Heavy intercessors. Yeah, heavy intercessors, that's the one. Thank you. I have those heavy intercessors, but it seems like whenever I get close to building a list, I just never consider them, and I think it's just because of their 5-inch move. Like I don't know why. I just, like can go from like, okay, I'm thinking about these things to like, nah, I'm just not interested at all. And I think the thing that just makes me not interested at all must just be the movement, because I always say it on the army list stream, and I always think it when I'm building a list that like mobility is our biggest strength. So if we're not, like, we need to be mobile, because Well, we can all agree that we're not a survivable army. So if we're not survivable, well, how do we become survivable? Well, we become survivable by hiding and moving and shenanigans like that, right? I don't want to remodel my death company with 5 hammers, kick myself for not magnetizing them before going all in on hammers. I mean, having one squad of all hammers is good, or having one squad of like 4 hammers, Chris, is good. But like, I think where it is right now with the death company having points drops, I think you want to be running 2 death company. So I think you want like one with 4 or 5 hammers, and I think you want one with... I mean, I've been having a lot of value with the power sword infernal pistol build. So if you haven't tried that build yet, I would recommend you try it. And here's the thing, like, if you play against friends or whatnot every week, or you play against people that are like, you know, you must have some casual games where you're not playing for a tournament. Ask them if you can proxy it. Just say to them, like, you know, because I always think that like asking... It's different for me because I play on stream a lot and I don't want to be proxying things on stream, but before I played on stream, I would often say to Andrew, like, hey, you know, I want to buy a squad of these guys, but I don't know if they're going to be any good, so like this week can I just proxy it? And all that means is that you just take another unit that's on like this, the correct size bases or whatever, and you just play that other unit as the unit that you... Like I'm saying, like 5 infernal pistols, 5 power swords. Like run some assault marines or run some vanguard veterans or run whatever you've got that are on the right size bases as that, and run it for a couple of battles, and then once you've done that you go, oh cool, this is a squad that I would actually want to buy, they seem like they're pretty useful, buy them. But also, you know, magnets are your best friend. Like every time I don't magnetize something, usually comes back to bite me in the ass, and then 6 months later I'm painting the same model again because I didn't magnetize it. So if you can magnetize, I guess I highly recommend you do it. But I feel the pain. Like sometimes you just get a squad of models and you just want to get them on the tabletop and you don't want to spend 2 hours magnetizing it, or in my case I've got kids, so it's difficult to find the time to magnetize it. And yeah, I know, I feel your pain. But yeah, I mean, anytime I don't magnetize, I'm back, usually 6 months later, painting the same squad again because I didn't magnetize it the first time round. 2 units of 4 hammers, 1 chainsword, 3rd unit of all chainswords to eat mortals, or 5. I mean, there's lots of options right now, but I think those are the best options, is the squad that's heavy on hammers, and then a squad that's heavy on power swords and infernal pistols. The squad that's just the default squad for 105 points is also not bad. I have run that a few times. I have felt like there's pretty good value in just that default 5 death company with bolt pistols and chainswords for 105 points. I mean, I guess, like you said, they could eat up some mortal wound output from the enemy, but like, I think 30 chainsword attacks is kind of decent as well for 105 points. So, you know, by all means, there's... But yeah, ask your friend if you can proxy them. Because I think once you... No, I mean, it's an expensive hobby. You want to be buying the right things that you need to make your army better, right? Inks is working on a Phobos kill team, which means 2 times squads of infiltrators. if you're doing infiltrators, and something that's really cool that you can do with infiltrators is I gave them black helmets. I think it works on infiltrators because I actually don't know where they would sit. Like, what color helmet should they have? Like, I think they should just have red. Like they're maybe just battle line troops. But I gave my infiltrators black helmets because I kind of felt like they were special ops. Or that's kind of the vibe I was going for it, and it actually looks pretty cool. I will take Lemmy over Astroth in Fury of the Lost. Why will you take Lemartus over Astroth, sorry? Because what does Lemartus give you that Astroth doesn't? I mean, bar being 40 points cheaper. Not 40, I think it's 30 points cheaper, sorry. Jason says, with the cost of living in the UK and magnetizing everything. I mean, yeah, I don't think the Warhammer stuff has really bumped up in price, but I guess everything else has bumped up in price, which in turn, I guess, means Warhammer has become more expensive because food and stuff is more expensive. Like, that's the thing, I don't understand this cost of living all that much, Jason, though, because, like, I saw, like, Lurpak butter, which is just a brand of butter. Lurpak is apparently £7.50 now for a tub of butter. So that's about $10 for like $10 for like 300 grams of butter, right? But like right next to it on the shelf, you've got Utterly Butterly, which is like the same fucking thing, but it's like low calorie. And like, I mean, it's $1.50, which is like $2. So like, don't people just need to make sane choices? Like, if you like butter, just buy I think Utter Butterly is not real butter, but like, it's a fifth of the price. I'm like, when you put butter into a sandwich, do you really go, oh, that isn't such and such butter? Or it's a cheese sandwich with butter, I'll just deal with the fact that the butter didn't cost me an arm and a leg. It seems crazy. I don't know why Lurpak is so expensive, but like, £10 is like a gallon of gas. So a gallon of gas or like 200 grams of butter. Like, why is the butter gone so expensive? I don't know. It's madness. The UK has gone mad. Alright, I'm going to put a tiny little bit of Celestial Grey on this guy's chainsword, and that's going to be me calling it a night, guys. Butter goes on toast, and the difference is between it and those oil-based spreads is night and day. Is there really a difference? Is there? Is the difference £7 though? Like, I don't know, I mean... toast and butter. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm never going to pay £7 for toast and butter. But I mean, yeah, hopefully prices will go down when the war in Ukraine ends, right? Brandon says it's better. It's not £7 better. Yeah, I mean, it probably is better, right? Yeah, the prices have gone insane, I guess. But I was thinking about this, right? Like, they can only charge that price if people buy it at that price, right? Because if no one buys that butter at £7, then they can't leave it at £7 because they won't make any sales. So really what we should do as a collective is we should just not buy these products that have gone skyrocketing high, and then the companies that make them will have to bring them down, otherwise, I don't know. I couldn't understand it though, like, Butterly seems pretty good to me. £1.50. Premium Danish Lurpak Butter John. Premium Danish. Is that what it is? Is that? Now that you mention it, I think actually I do remember seeing an advert with Lurpak being Danish. So I guess we have to import it from the EU, so it's a bit more expensive, etc, etc, etc. But yeah, I'm not paying for it. I'm not paying $7.50 for a tin of butter. That's ludicrous. Like what makes the Danish cows better at making butter than the UK cows? Like, a French player wins London GT with an insane EC list, really strong shooting, and insane CC with all fight first, EC fight last strat, Abaddon and 24-inch movement, 10 Terminator blocks. Is that what won the London GT? I don't know. But when you say it like, if that wasn't what won, it just shows you that there are some big problems with the meta right now, where you've got some lists that can get access to basically everything, you know, all fight first, fight last, yada yada yada, giant movement, you know, and then you've got other lists, you've got other armies, and probably the ability to pump out mortal wounds as well. The newer books pump out so many more mortal wounds than the older books. Like, there's almost no way for Marine players to dish out mortals. I mean, there's Volcons, but they're so swingy. Whereas it's like every other army seems like they have multiple stratagems where it's like, oh, this strat can just do 6 mortals. Well, that's useful. Lurpak is about £2. Where are you located that Lurpak's only £2? Christian? Are you in Denmark? Where can I submit a list? Go over to the community tab, Mac, which is just like, if you click, like, underneath this video there's going to be like the Blood Angels Commander logo. You would just click on the logo, that'll take you to like the actual Blood Angels Commander YouTube page, then click community, and like on the community page you'll see like a tab where like it's basically almost like a news feed of community posts that I've posted up over the last 6 months, whatever. Just post your list in the comments on the community tab. It doesn't matter which post you do, probably the newest one would make the most sense. But if you just put it in there, I'll find it, and I'll get you added. It'll probably be a couple of weeks for review as at the moment, because I think we're full for this next 2 weeks. So it'll probably be you'd be probably looking at like the 10th of November for the next army review. Now you're very welcome, Mac. Alright, so it's probably something to do with the EU and Britain being crappy, Brexit, whatever. But yeah, it's $7.50 for Lurpak just means I just won't buy Lurpak. I'll just buy shitty oil-based butter, I guess. I mean, when you've got kids, you open a block of cheese and you just go through the whole block of cheese, so you have to buy shitty cheese anyway, because otherwise, you know, the kids eat you out of all your money. So we already buy like a bunch of, I wouldn't even say it's shitty, just we buy non-branded stuff, I guess. The kids don't know what a brand is, right? Alright, this is me for the night. I got a little bit done on some of these Death Company, and obviously we got those bases done as well. I might have a battle against squats this week. I'll let you know if I do. I'll text Andrew tomorrow and find out if we're going to get the squats on the channel. They might be a bit unpainted, but that's fine. I'd rather play them unpainted than not play them at all. So I'll see if Andrew's up for bringing the squats on the channel this week. I'll probably get rolled by them, but like I'd rather get a couple of practice games against them before the GT, because I'm sure somebody is going to be bringing them to the GT I'm going to. I'd be very surprised if no one's bringing them, because there's usually always, like at a GT, there's usually always someone who's like a win at all cost player. So if squats have really strong rules, then someone is going to want to play them, right? There are other butters available. We didn't lose the ability to raise cows and churn butter when we left the EU. That's very true, James. The oil-based garbage will give severe inflammation in many places. Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, my kids won't know the difference, I guess. I guess butter is a serious business. I didn't think it was serious business. I just thought it was ridiculous that it was £7 for a tub of butter, and I was like, yeah, I'm not paying that. I'll just pick something else. Nice. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the stream tonight, guys. I will be back tomorrow night to look at army lists. We're always here on a Sunday night to look at army lists. Yeah, I forget what day of the week it is. Jeez. Okay, so yeah, Sunday night tomorrow, army list time. Maybe live 15-20 minutes later, and I'll post up a link to a chat that we're having in the balance data slate tomorrow night as well. So that's what's tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I guess come and bitch with us about the balance data slate if you want to. You're more than welcome. Enjoy your evening. Thank you so much for the new membership. We get 69 days, and we already got 4% towards our 2022 goal, so that's cool. Appreciate the new members here, Braidon. I think the other two were gifted subs. I think it was Inks that gave a gifted sub, and I forget who gave the other gifted sub, but I am really appreciative of it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night for army lists, and then hopefully squats this week on the channel. That'll be cool. Alright, enjoy your evening. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.